that manufactured all manner of lifestyle products, from nail polish to sectional sofas. She was also the public face of Heartline International, marketing herself and her talents every waking minute of every single day. She did the weekly television show, Vera Hart at Home, made public appearances, edited the magazine Heart to Heart, promoted the various products at stores and malls throughout the country, supervised the addition of new merchandise, and personally tested each and every new idea that came her way. She didn't have time to be a bookkeeper as well. Aside from the unthinkable prospect of her stock tanking and taking HLI with it, what disturbed Vera was the notion that she could be targeted for investigation. Enron had collapsed. Tyco was in shambles. WorldCom's stock wasn't worth the paper it was written on. And yet she knew the whistleblower was right. Given the opening, the government would look to make her the poster girl of corporate corruption. The reasons were obvious. She was a woman in a man's world. She had been an actress, not an MBA graduate, before going into business, and she had been extremely successful. It seemed unfair to Vera that once again she was about to be screwed over by a system that judged her on her celebrity rather than her success, and by her gender rather than her judgment. Vera Hart had been a star from the day she made her cinematic debut in Little Girl Blue at the age of 9. Until her film career came to an end, her name on a theater marquee had practically guaranteed 8-figure grosses. Her face had graced the cover of every high-circulation magazine in the world, and her image had spawned so many desperate wannabes that at least once a month, some well-known psychologist took to the airwaves to urge teenage girls not to disparage themselves if they looked in their mirrors and came up short. Vera Hart, they explained, was simply exceptional. She was tall and model slim, yet with enough curves to be described as sensuous. Her skin was gardenia white, her nose so perfectly sculpted for her face it was as if the proportions had been mathematically calculated. She had a wide mouth, with full, ripe lips that always seemed to be teasing for a kiss, and eyes that positively startled. Framed by wing-shaped brows, they were large, clear, aquamarine demi-lunes that could glisten with emotion one minute, go dead and cold the next. Straight across on the bottom, softly rounded on top, they were neither a true sapphire blue nor an absolute emerald green, neither the pale, yellowless blue of a Vermont sky in winter, nor the bleached-out green of a backyard pool overdosed with chlorine. They were pure aquamarine gems, rich and precious and mesmerizing. At 59, she owned a penthouse in New York, an oceanfront mansion in Palm Beach, an estate in East Hampton, and a compound in Westchester that included a television studio that was the envy of the networks. She had been named to the Best Dressed List Hall of Fame 15 years before, and even with the natural effects of aging was still considered one of the most beautiful women in the world. More important, she was one of only 2 females on the New York Stock Exchange. Her personal wealth was calculated in excess of $500 million. Heartline International was a multi-billion-dollar-a-year enterprise. She was a force to be reckoned with. Again, she went over the figures. Then she picked up the phone and instructed her secretary, Tess, to set up a 6:30 meeting that evening with the CFO, the COO, and the heads of the various Heartline divisions. She didn't care if anyone had social plans or family obligations. There were to be no absentees and no excuses. "If they're not at the meeting tonight," she said, "they don't have to bother coming to work in the morning." There were days when Brian Chalmers hated his job. He was an assistant district attorney for the city of New York, sworn to uphold the laws of the state and to ensure that justice was done. That part of it he loved. What he hated was that after the police and the crime scene unit and the DA's office had gathered the evidence and sorted through the facts and put together a case that would obtain a conviction and take a criminal off the streets, the system kicked in with loopholes, like plea bargains and parole and, most laughable of all, time off for good behavior.